You have heard this song. I guarantee it. You have heard it in your car, in a bar, at a wedding, at a funeral. You have heard it so many times that your brain fills in every note before it even plays. Stairway to Heaven is the most famous rock song ever recorded. But I am going to tell you something about this song that will change the way you hear it forever. Because behind those opening notes lies a courtroom battle, a dead musician, and a question worth $562 million. If you think you know this song, think again. If stories like this fascinate you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You will not want to miss what comes next. To understand this story, you need to go back to 1968, not to Led Zeppelin, to a band called Spirit. Spirit was a Los Angeles psychedelic rock group led by a guitarist named Randy California, real name Randy Craig Wolf. He got that nickname from Jimi Hendrix himself. When Randy was just 15 years old, he was jamming with Hendrix in New York City clubs. Hendrix called him Randy California to distinguish him from another Randy in the band. The name stuck. By 1968, Randy was 20 years old, and Spirit had just released their self-titled debut album. Track 5 on that record was a short instrumental called Taurus. It was barely over 2 minutes long. A gentle, almost hypnotic piece built around an acoustic guitar playing arpeggios over a descending chromatic bass line, from A minor, dropping one note at a time, quiet, beautiful, and completely ignored by most of the world. 11 months later, on December 26, 1968, a brand new band from England played their very first show on American soil, the Denver Auditorium Arena. The headliner was Vanilla Fudge. Spirit was second on the bill. And opening for both of them, so unknown they were not even listed on the poster, was Led Zeppelin. Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham stood backstage in that Denver arena while Spirit performed their set, including Taurus. Over the next several months, Led Zeppelin and Spirit crossed paths repeatedly. The Atlanta International Pop Festival in July 1969. The Seattle Pop Festival that same month. Led Zeppelin even played a cover of Spirit's Fresh Garbage in their early live sets. These two bands knew each other, that much is certain. Now jump to 1970. Led Zeppelin had already released 2 massive albums. They were one of the biggest bands on the planet. After their grueling 5th American tour, Jimmy Page retreated to Bron-Yr-Aur, a remote cottage in the Welsh countryside, with no electricity and no running water. He sat by a fire and began working on a new piece of music, something different. Something that started quiet and built into a thunderstorm. He brought the idea to Headley Grange, a crumbling former workhouse in Hampshire, where the band was recording what would become their untitled 4th album. One night, Page sat by the fire playing the opening chords. Robert Plant had a pencil and a piece of paper, and then something happened that Plant would later describe as almost supernatural. His hand started writing. There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. Plant claimed a huge percentage of the lyrics came right there, in that moment by the fire. The song was finished and recorded at Island Studios in London. 8 minutes and 2 seconds of music that would change everything. On March 5, 1971, Led Zeppelin debuted Stairway to Heaven live at the Ulster Hall in Belfast, Northern Ireland. This was during the Troubles. Other bands had canceled their Belfast dates out of fear, but Led Zeppelin showed up. The audience had never heard the song before. Most of the crowd sat there confused, waiting for songs they recognized. Bassist John Paul Jones later said the audience seemed bored, waiting to hear something they knew. But what they were witnessing was the birth of the most played rock song in radio history. Led Zeppelin IV came out in November 1971. Stairway to Heaven was never released as a single. The band refused. They wanted people to buy the album, and people did. Millions and millions of them. The song became a monument. It was estimated that by 2008, the total revenue generated by Stairway to Heaven reached $562 million. Album sales, radio play, sheet music, licensing, $500 million from one song. But back in the late 1970s, Randy California started telling anyone who would listen that Led Zeppelin had taken the opening of Stairway to Heaven from his instrumental Taurus. He never sued. Some say he could not afford to. Some say he did not believe a court would side with him against the biggest band in the world. He just kept talking, and nobody listened. On January 2nd, 1997, Randy California was swimming off the coast of Molokai, Hawaii, with his 12-year-old son Quinn. A rip current caught them both. Randy managed to push his son toward the shore. Quinn survived. Randy did not. He drowned at 45 years old. He died a hero, saving his child. And he died without ever getting an answer about Stairway to Heaven. 17 years later, in 2014, a man named Michael Skidmore, trustee of the Randy Craig Wolf Trust, filed a lawsuit against Led Zeppelin. The claim was simple. The opening of Stairway to Heaven was copied from Taurus, and the estate wanted credit and compensation. The case went to trial in June 2016 in a federal courtroom in Los Angeles, 5 decades after both songs were written. And this is where the story gets truly bizarre. The jury was not allowed to listen to the recording of Taurus. Because it was recorded before 1972, the year federal copyright law started covering sound recordings. The only thing protected was the sheet music deposited with the Copyright Office. A single page of notation that barely captured what Randy California actually played on the record. So the jury had to judge 2 pieces of music based on paper, not sound. Jimmy Page took the stand. He told the court he had only become aware of Taurus in recent years, when his son-in-law showed him comparisons on the internet. He denied ever hearing the song before that. Robert Plant testified too. He described the creation of Stairway in vivid detail. The fire, the pencil, the words pouring out of him. Under cross-examination, Plant admitted that Led Zeppelin had covered Spirit's Fresh Garbage in their early days, but he said he did not remember ever meeting the band or seeing them perform. The defense brought in musicologists who demonstrated that the descending chromatic bass line at the heart of both songs was not original to either one. It had been used for centuries. You can find it in Baroque passacaglia from the 1600s, in My Funny Valentine from 1937, in dozens of songs before Taurus ever existed. The argument was devastating. You cannot copyright a chord progression that has been in the public domain for 300 years. After 5 days of testimony, the jury deliberated for less than a day. They found that while Led Zeppelin did have access to Taurus, The two songs were not substantially similar. Led Zeppelin 1. Jimmy Page walked out of that courthouse without saying a word to the press. But the case was not over. In 2018, a three-judge panel from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the trial judge had made errors in his jury instructions. Specifically, he had failed to tell the jury that a unique combination of unprotectable elements could still be original enough to deserve copyright. The appeals court ordered a new trial. The music industry panicked. If Stairway to Heaven could be found guilty of plagiarism based on a common chord progression, every songwriter in the world was at risk. Then in March 2020, an 11-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit heard the case again. This time they upheld the original verdict. Led Zeppelin had not stolen Stairway to Heaven. The Supreme Court declined to take the case. It was finally over. 6 years of litigation, millions in legal fees, and in the end, the greatest rock song ever written belonged to the people who said they wrote it. But here is the thing that stays with me. Randy California heard something in Stairway to Heaven that reminded him of his own work. He spent 2 decades saying so. He never got his day in court. He never got to sit in that witness stand and play his guitar and say, "Listen to this." He was already gone, drowned in the Pacific, saving his son. Whatever the truth is, the law has spoken. But music has a longer memory than any courtroom. If this story surprised you, you are going to love what I have coming next. Hit the notification bell and click the video on your screen right now. I will see you there.